Drake thought he was about to flip the entire game tonight by launching what he hyped as round 2 in his war with Kendrick Lamar, but the stunt instantly blew up in his face. During a surprise live stream that drew thousands of curious fans, Drake teased new music aimed directly at Kendrick, bragging like he was ready to reclaim the crown. But instead of sparking hype, the moment collapsed into chaos. The chat wasn't filled with support. It was filled with laughing emojis, clown comments, and fans dragging his bars like they were parody lines. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. Kendrick didn't even need to respond. Drake embarrassed himself live. The humiliation was brutal. And just when it seemed like it couldn't get worse, Kendrick's fans began reposting his old diss tracks, the same verses that had already cut Drake down in the first round. Side-by-side comparisons lit up the timeline, with people saying Drake's new material couldn't hold a candle to Kendrick's lyrical power. Industry insiders didn't call it a comeback. They called it a reckless miscalculation. Instead of re-establishing dominance, Drake may have proven what critics have whispered for months. Kendrick already owns this war. His so-called round 2 didn't just flop. It buried him deeper, with the internet roasting every single word. Now the question looms. How do you keep fighting a battle when the culture has already crowned your rival the victor? Tonight was supposed to be Drake's redemption, but it may have sealed his downfall even further. Drake is trying to shake the entire rap game tonight, and after 488 long days of silence, the tension is explosive. The whole industry has been waiting to see if he would finally clap back at Kendrick Lamar, and now it looks like he's trying to turn this night into his big revenge play. But instead of anticipation building him up, the vibe already feels like a setup for disaster. Inside OVO, the so-called gremlins and Inner Circle have been hyping this risky move, whispering that Drake's about to drop something wild. But the warning signs are flashing bright. Word around the scene is that he's been plotting a reckless stunt, convinced it'll land the knockout punch he's been desperate for. Critics, however, are already laughing, calling it nothing more than desperation, wearing ambition's mask. Some are even saying fans shouldn't brace for history being made. They should brace for one of the ugliest flops hip-hop has seen since that Family Matters fiasco. And the timing couldn't be more chaotic. Tonight doesn't just mark Drake's so-called round 2, it also collides with the release of episode 3 of Lore's infamous Iceman series, which already has people buzzing. Why? Because first, fans expect another cringeworthy live stream moment, the kind of clip that could rival his embarrassing Pinocchio chase fiasco. But the real bombshell, Drake is gearing up to drop a brand new track. And the question now is simple. Does this save Drake or bury him once and for all? Here's where things get messy. Instead of keeping his cards close, Drake has allegedly been running his mouth, spilling far too much about this so-called secret weapon track. Reports say insiders already know the entire vibe. They're calling it Drake's Red Button, a song hyped as the one that's supposed to blow the entire industry wide open. His team is pitching it like the ultimate weapon, the track that will shatter reputations and prove he's still the king. But the problem is clear. This doesn't look like strategy. It looks like delusion. By leaking details and hyping it as an industry-ending moment, Drake has raised expectations to the heavens. And in hip-hop, that's a dangerous game. The higher you gas yourself up, the harder the fall. Now, when people call cap, the streets aren't treating this like just another single. The whispers are clear. This isn't a club record, and it's not a TikTok hit. It's being framed as a full-on diss aimed squarely at Kendrick Lamar. That's the one card Drake has left. The one move OVO stands believe can rally the base, taking direct shots at the man who dismantled Drake's aura piece by piece. For the OVO faithful, Kendrick is the villain, the one who ruined the Drake era they thought was untouchable. So this nuclear record is being sold as the big answer, Drake's shot at redemption. Insiders even claim it's packed with more raw rapping than anything we've heard from him since Family Matters. Maybe even more. But here's the catch. If this red button doesn't land exactly the way it's promised, it won't just be another miss. It'll be Drake's biggest self-destruction yet, and it gets wilder. Reports say Drake isn't just aiming at Kendrick, he's allegedly lining up bars for Whitney Alford, Dave Free, and others tied directly to Kendrick's circle. That's how deep his obsession has gone. It's no longer just about battling Lamar. It's about trying to rattle everyone around him. The fixation is now screaming louder than the music itself. Then there's the title, which only makes the circus bigger. Sticking to his awkward Iceman series, Drake has rolled out another cringe concept. First came, "What did I miss?" Then which one? Which, let's be real, isn't even one of the 5 W's. And now the latest is allegedly called, "Who Was It?" Fans are roasting already, saying the rollout feels more like a grammar workbook than a rap series. Critics argue it's the clearest proof yet that creativity is slipping through Drake's fingers. Instead of breaking new ground while his career balance hangs by a thread, he's falling back on lazy titles and surface-level themes. To many, it reeks of desperation, not dominance. From the build-up alone, insiders expect a chaotic track filled with wild accusations, messy energy, and delusional claims. But here's the real cliffhanger. Will Who Was It actually shake the culture, or will it go down as yet another humiliating stumble in Drake's growing list of failed plays against Kendrick? Even inside his own camp, the divide is sharp. OVO's most loyal defenders keep screaming that this is the one, the long-awaited red button moment, nearly 500 days in the making. To OVO's faithful, this isn't just a single. It's supposed to be the grand comeback. But outside their echo chamber, the industry isn't buying it. Insiders, who've already heard pieces of the track, say the energy feels recycled, like Drake is dusting off an old script from over a year ago, back when he swore he'd strike back after Kendrick torched him in round 1. Instead of sounding fresh, it feels like déjà vu, and not in a good way. Critics argue the warning signs are flashing bright. This so-called diss track is a dangerous gamble, especially with Drake's shaky record in rap battles. The odds of another disaster are sky high, and the culture already senses he isn't ready for the heat. And just when it couldn't get worse, snippets of the beat leaked. Reportedly, it played at the end of Iceman 2, right after that ridiculous Pinocchio run scene and Drake awkwardly freezing in an elevator. The instrumental itself is dark and heavy, built for rapping, but even the right canvas can't save weak brushstrokes. Behind the scenes, the whispers are uglier. Word is Drake's writer room is buckling under pressure, scrambling to find bars sharp enough to touch Kendrick. Rumors say the stress is so extreme, it's like the team is on strike, exhausted, drained, and running out of angles that won't instantly get clowned. If this really is his infamous red button, then Drake is gambling his entire legacy on a squad that may not even have bullets left in the chamber. One wrong move, and instead of redemption, he's handing Kendrick another easy victory. And here we are again, Drake hyping up this so-called red button like it's the nuke that'll flip the culture, while reality paints a completely different picture. The question everyone's asking is simple. What does he really think he's going to accomplish with this Iceman Episode 3 rollout? To OVO diehards, the energy feels like déjà vu. They're acting like another Family Matters moment is about to rewrite history. But the truth is harder to swallow. This entire play shows just how deep OVO is stuck in denial. They can't let go of the humiliation from last time. So instead, they cling to the fantasy that this time will be different. But look closely. It's the textbook definition of insanity, repeating the same moves while expecting a new result. The obsession with forcing a gotcha moment is starting to feel desperate and fake. And here's the irony. History might slap Drake twice as hard this round. Imagine Kendrick Lamar dropping a brand new track at the exact same moment, instantly drowning out Drake's rollout, the same way he embarrassed him back in May last year. That wouldn't just repeat the humiliation. It would prove once again who really controls the culture. For a lot of people, that would be the perfect reminder. Kendrick doesn't need gimmicks to win. His artistry alone commands the genre's attention, while Drake scrambles with smoke, mirrors, and weak stunts. And after nearly 500 days of build-up, this so-called strategy still feels flimsy, hollow, and stripped bare. If this is the grand comeback, it already looks like another crash landing. What's left of Drake's master plan sounds more like noise than music, messy rapping thrown together, designed to irritate more than inspire. If this is the infamous red button, it's not a weapon. It's a broken alarm, blaring loud, desperate, and directionless. And standing calmly in the middle of it all is Kendrick Lamar, the figure who keeps exposing just how chaotic this saga has become. Once again, it's the living version of the old man yelling at a cloud meme. Drake screaming into the void, making his situation worse with every move. Beyond the rivalry and hype, his actions are digging a deeper hole for both his career and his legacy. Let's break it down. If Drake really drops this rumored diss at Kendrick, it'll go down in history, but not for the reason he hopes. He'd be the first rapper to sue over a diss track, then turn around and release another diss aimed at the same person. The contradictions write themselves. He filed a lawsuit over Not Like Us, claiming Kendrick crossed the line. But now he's preparing to clap back with his own cross the line moment. The hypocrisy is glaring, and it threatens to torch what little credibility he has left. Fans and critics alike are already calling this one of the most confusing and embarrassing missteps in rap beef history, and it doesn't stop there. By doubling down, Drake isn't just risking another loss in music. He's putting his entire legal strategy at risk. In trying to bury Kendrick, he may end up burying himself. His whole Karen-style quest over Not Like Us could blow up if he jumps back into the same behavior he claimed was unacceptable in court. The irony is brutal. Every move undercuts the last, stacking contradiction on contradiction until the whole narrative collapses under its own weight. With each attempt to strike back, Drake isn't fixing his image, he's burning it down further. Now the stakes are sky high. If this track actually drops, Drake risks destroying not only his credibility in hip-hop, but also the courtroom narrative he's been clinging to like a lifeline. This is the definition of a lose-lose. No matter how it spins, every path leads straight to disaster. Doesn't it feel obvious now that Drake has no strategy left? What we're seeing isn't dominance, it's desperation. He's scrambling, hoping something, anything, might stick long enough to keep him relevant in the conversation. And the worst part? His sudden obsession with this Iceman concept only makes the chaos louder. Instead of delivering an authentic artistic statement, Drake has turned the rollout into a half-baked stunt built entirely on Kendrick Lamar's shadow. It's less about creativity and more about baiting Kendrick into round two. But when the culture already knows who's winning, doesn't this just expose how lost Drake really is? The goal is obvious. Drake is trying to rewrite history, overturning results that fans and critics already stamped as decisive last year. But here's the twist. In doing so, he's admitting defeat in another lane entirely. He's showing the world he doesn't trust himself to drop original, organic hits that connect on their own anymore. Instead, Drake leans on Kendrick's name like a crutch, using the feud as his only source of buzz. And the irony cuts deep. This is the same behavior his own fan base once mocked other rappers for. Yet now their favorite is guilty of the exact same move. The truth is ugly. Drake has become what he used to clown. He's not leading the culture anymore. He's chasing it. Without Kendrick's shadow hanging over his every rollout, the spotlight fades fast. Think back, J. Cole's words sting harder than ever. If Drake wasn't dissing, we wouldn't even be talking about him. That's the brutal reality. His obsession with pressing this so-called red button only proves how irrelevant he feels without the safety net of a feud. Strip Kendrick's name from the narrative, and what's left? No headline, no hype, no reason for the culture to even care. For all the money, the fame, and the OVO machine behind him, this moment exposes how fragile Drake's standing has become. He's no longer dictating the conversation. He's chasing it, one desperate stunt at a time. And when this track finally drops with Iceman Episode 3, most expect it to fade just as quickly as which one? A forgettable drop that trends for a night but vanishes from the charts just as fast. Yet Drake seems convinced this is his victory lap, as if simply grabbing the spotlight for a moment means he's back on top. What he doesn't see is that this move could open a box he'll never be able to close, because beyond the fact that Kendrick already beat him fair and square, any attempt to force a round two only locks in a harsher legacy. Once you push that so-called red button, the ripple effects stretch far beyond one live stream or one track. They stamp who you are in the culture, forever. And if Drake dares to step at Kendrick again, the script is already written. Kendrick has proven time and time again that he dismantles opponents with artistry, precision, and surgical skill Drake simply can't match. Every jab Drake throws only makes the gap clearer. The gap in credibility, respect, and artistry. And that divide is widening in real time. Here's the harsh reality. If Drake pushes forward with this Iceman rollout, hype won't save him. Ghost Riders won't save him. Even an entire strategy team won't save him. He could craft what he believes is the sharpest diss of his career, and the outcome would still be the same. Against Kendrick Lamar, Drake is outclassed, artistically, competitively, and as a cultural figure whose influence collapses next to someone operating on a higher level. No matter how much energy Drake pours into this stunt, no matter how carefully he plots his gotcha moments, the truth is brutal. He has already lost this war. His obsession with restarting it only makes that fact more glaring. But now, the bigger story isn't whether he can land a punch. It's that the rap industry is quietly bracing for his collapse. If this latest stunt fails, insiders are already whispering. If Iceman Episode 3 flops, it won't just be another L. It could mark the beginning of the end for Drake's reign as hip-hop's dominant figure. Just look back. His last major moves, from Family Matters to Which One. Even his courtroom antics have all backfired or fizzled. Instead of gaining momentum, each rollout chipped away at his credibility, brick by brick. Now, with the looming red button diss track, the stakes have never been higher. Behind the scenes, executives are allegedly nervous. Streaming platforms and industry partners still know Drake is a proven draw, but the whispers are growing louder. They worry about oversaturation, embarrassment, and watching their golden goose become damaged goods. One bad drop, and suddenly Drake doesn't look like a global powerhouse anymore. He looks like an aging act who can't read the room. Meanwhile, Kendrick's camp is playing chess while Drake fumbles with checkers. Artists aligned with Kendrick are already preparing to capitalize on the fallout. The scariest part for Drake's team? Kendrick might not even need to drop a full diss track to bury this rollout. One verse, a guest feature, or even a symbolic move on social media could erase everything Drake has built up. That's how fragile the balance of power has become. One slip, and the empire shakes. And let's not forget, Drake is carrying this entire mess on his own back, while Kendrick doesn't even need to lift a finger. That's the biggest difference. Kendrick's music and reputation speak louder than any rollout, proving that silence can sometimes hit harder than 1,000 bars. Meanwhile, Drake looks desperate, shouting into the void, while Kendrick stands untouched and untouchable. Here's the cold reality. Iceman Episode 3 isn't just another release, it's a straight-up gamble. Either it buys Drake a little more time in the spotlight, or it speeds up the countdown clock on his dominance. The industry is watching, fans are waiting, and the pressure pressing down on Drake right now is heavier than anything he's ever faced. And the craziest part? Kendrick doesn't even have to worry. History shows us what happens every time. Whatever Drake throws, Kendrick flips back 10 times harder. He turns insults into anthems, diss bars into cultural movements, and every response into a moment that defines the era. If this battle really plays out the way it's shaping up, Kendrick could deliver another timeless track that erases everything Drake is scrambling to achieve. Drake should remember what happened last time. He thought he had the upper hand, thought he stacked the deck, only to get humiliated when Kendrick flipped the script and left him scrambling to survive. The stage is set for history to repeat itself. And if it does, the fall will be louder than any track Drake drops. This time, the outcome won't just feel familiar, it'll sting worse, because Drake's credibility is already hanging by a thread. The real question is, what does he actually have up his sleeve? Is he about to risk it all with something fresh, or will this be another recycled stunt to buy himself a little more time? And let's be real, what kind of game is he playing when his reputation, career, and legacy are all on the line? Either way, tonight is shaping up to be wild. Whether Drake somehow lands a hit or completely flops, the internet is going to explode with reactions. At the very least, it's guaranteed to be messy entertainment. So now it's on you. Do you see Drake turning this around, or is he setting himself up for another colossal failure in front of the entire world? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this could go down as one of the most chaotic moments in rap history. And of course, if you're rocking with the content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and keep the conversation alive. It helps more than you know and ensures you won't miss a single update as this drama keeps unfolding. Now, if you want to see what Drake pulled off right before all this, including one of the most awkward interviews of his career with Bobby Alto, check out the suggested video on your screen. Trust me, it shows just how messy this setup really is. See you in the next one.